Hi everyone, welcome to Make Every Hoop Class Kick Ass. Just jumping on, doesn't matter if you're a hoop teacher or if you're thinking about teaching or if your neighbors, family, friends have been asking you for a long time to teach them how you do that cool hoop stuff, or if you are a mover, groover, or just thinking about it, welcome. Everyone is welcome. You can see that there is a chat box, and welcome Wild Spinners, welcome Carol, Catherine, jump on in. You can say hi. There's a chat box. Have a little look, just make sure that you're ready, steady to go. My name is Deanne Love. I have a mosquito chasing me. Wildlife here in Australia. Welcome everyone from around the world. I know for some of you, this is early morning. For some of you, it's evening time. So if you can't stick around for the whole thing, I would love you to stick around. But if you can't for some reason, for any reason, if your internet shuts down or if your eyes close, then I will send you the recording of this. But please stay with me. It's so much better live. We get to hang out. And I know that a lot of you have questions. And yes, Trish from Canada, welcome, welcome. From New York, it's 8 p.m. there. Thank you for joining me here. I'm in Australia. It's warm and sunny and beautiful this morning, so I'm sending you lots and lots of that gorgeous energy wherever you are. It's much better live, and I do know that lots of you have questions about Hoop Love Coach training that is happening in October. Some of you have questions about hoop teaching that you've been doing. So hi from, it's rainy down in New South Wales. Lots of hoopers and hoop teachers from India. Welcome. This is a very, very exciting time. I know 2020 is off the Richter, but in lots of ways, I have seen so many new hoopers and new hoop teachers show up because people are connecting with what is real, even if we're doing that online. Now, I have been teaching hoop dance full-time. Yes, full-time. This has been my job. For those people who ask, and I get this a lot, how on earth, what do you even do? I don't get it. You're a hula hoop teacher? I have received that question so many times in my life. Yes, full-time for 10 years now, and I've been hooping for 13. And this year in particular, I have seen such a boom. After 10 years of being in this amazing game, this incredible lifestyle, with all of its ups and downs, being really connected to the global hoop community, 2020 has seen things really expand, not just in my online numbers, but in the actual humans that are coming to reconnect with their body and play in these really huge times. So very incredible. Megan says, when in doubt, hoop it out has been my 2020 motto. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes. And as I mentioned, it doesn't matter if you see yourself as this huge hoop leader or someone who is sharing very intimately. It doesn't matter. These tips that I want to share with you today is stuff that I have learned over the years. So who am I? If you're like, who is this woman? Am I in the right workshop? I don't even know what's happening right now. I am Deanne Love. Welcome so much. Many of us have been connected for many years, many months, probably many lifetimes. Who knows? I feel it. I feel this beautiful, deep connection with all of you. And if you don't know who I am the creator of hooplovers.tv. And as I just said, I've been teaching full-time for 10 years in so many different capacities. If I had to list out, I think I wrote a blog once that said the 50 places that you could teach hooping. It's been more than 50 different places for me, everywhere. Yes, Alicia did the Ali Hoops, did Hoop Love Coach training with me in 2019. So not only have I been teaching from little kids up to grandmas, I taught my own grandma to hoop. I hope that you teach your own grandma or a special person in your life to hoop or to move their body or to reconnect with their soul. Honestly, every part of us, we are born to move and groove, and we forget that, and that's okay. And so we're here to show up in our own lives, first of all, with our own practice, and then share on whatever part of that spectrum. Doesn't matter if you want this to be your full-time gig, like you are so in it, or if it's just a sprinkling. As you meet people along your life journey, you share with them. By you showing up in whatever capacity it is that you want to, you're inspiring others. If I have inspired you in any way, then you need to recognize that you are also an inspirer of everyone around you. And I know it can be a little bit challenging, and it can be nerve-wracking, and we can have all different stuff around that, but you are an inspirer. Who are you? I'm going to jump my face off here for a minute. I know that hi from Brazil, from India, from Chattanooga, amazing, from Ohio in the US. I would love to have a gorgeous, amazing hoop jam right now for us all to introduce ourselves. Over almost 500 people have signed up for this free workshop today, which tells me that there are hoopers from, yes, whoa, from Argentina, welcome. I know who you are, Rebecca from Atlanta. You can say hi in the chat box now. I've put some photos up here of gorgeous Hoop Love coaches that I've worked with over the years, but there are hundreds, over 1,000 now, and then there's just tens of hundreds of thousands of hoopers around the planet. Hey, Margaret from Melbourne, gorgeous Hoop Love coach from Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz is one of my favorite places on the planet, and that was where I got my first heart tattoo. Did you know that? Fun fact there. So welcome. Okay, so here we go. This is what I would love you to do. Grab your journal, if you have one, or a piece of paper or something, but switch off your distractions. I know how entertaining this guy can be, and we are so connected online, but for now, for like the next hour if you can, 40 minutes if you can, switch off your distractions. Get your questions ready. If questions pop up, you can either write them down in your journal and send them to me in an email, or you can put them in the chat box. If I don't get to them, I will try to answer them somehow along the line. But I have a huge bunch of tips for you today, so I'm just going to flow through them. Also, if any questions come up, I'm here for you. I'd love you to put them in the chat box, but I will send you the recording. So if you miss out, yes, Kirsten just said rather, is this being recorded? I keep losing connection. Same here. Yes, it's being recorded for you. It's recording right now. I can see it. So epic. All right. Now, there are 2 bonuses that I want to share. I always like to give extra. I hope that you know that about me. The first bonus is, it doesn't matter, like if you're a Hoop Love coach, or if you don't have to do any kind of training with me or anything. I'm going to share with you a little bit later on, and I'll share it with you in the recording. And this bonus that I want to give to everyone who's registered for this free workshop, it's a mind-blowing lifesaver, either as a hooper, a mover, or particularly as a teacher. And it's a bonus that's going to save you hundreds of hours of time. So I'm going to share that with you a little bit later. And then for those people who are, I know there's a lot of people here who are super keen on doing the final Hoop Love Coach training with me for 2020. There's a bonus for you guys as well. I'm adding a free course to it that you don't have to pay for. That's usually $97. So it's a free course that I'll tell you a little bit later about, but it's about how you can engage with your students more effectively and get a wider reach online through social media without it being too intense, because whoa, we know, right? Okay, so I want you just to, if you've switched off your distractions and you've got your journal, whether you write this down or not, I want you to ask yourself your why. Why do you teach hooping, or why do you want to teach hooping? And the reason why I always ask this at the beginning of all of these types of workshops is because this is your anchor. Now, it may change and expand over time, but just for a moment, why do you teach hooping? What is it? Or why do you want to? If you're not quite there yet, it's okay. Just take a moment to think about that for yourself, because that why will bring you back. Whenever things get too much or too hard, or you hit those roadblocks or those creative bumps, or the vision that you had, it might not work out the first time. Why is it? Beautiful. To connect with others through flow. You can share if you like or not. Also, if any, let me just going to delete a little message here. If any random messages pop up that tell you to go to links or whatever, that's not me. Yes, to prove that we can do it. You're beautiful. It's proof for ourselves, for our community, for connection, to feel more emotion, connection with ourselves and with each other, for peace and aligning my energy, transformational joy to be shared, big one. It's a fun way to keep yourself fit in lockdown. Yes, I've been hearing this so much. I'm getting so many amazing messages because I love spreading hoop love, paying it forward. Yeah, we're giving back. We're never too old. Oh, does not matter any age group. Honestly, this is the beauty of hooping. Self-love, finding your inner child again. It's deeply healing on so many levels. And it doesn't matter if your perspective on hooping and movement is fitness, spiritual, joy-based pleasure, healing, and we're going to look at this in a moment, every perspective that we have on this beautiful art form, on this beautiful way of moving, is truly yours. And you can take that in and share that with your students. Yes, to share the joy of the silly plastic circle and everything that it's brought to our lives, other generations, kids are your passion. Yes, for me too. For those of you who don't know, I was a primary school teacher for many years, for a decade prior to teaching hooping. Yes, and this is so huge. New hoopers also refresh us. So if I was not connected to anyone and it was just me all of the time, it would be a deeply healing and nurturing journey for me. But it's all of the humans that I've encountered over, whether they hoop once in their life or whether it becomes a lifelong practice, is just constantly bringing up new. So I always say other hoopers are my greatest teachers. For me, it's so fun loving. It's so energizing. It changes lives. I don't think I even need to expand on that. It changes lives. If you're here, it's likely to have changed yours. Abundance. For those of you who see this as a part-time or a full-time or some kind of supplementary job, it has supported me and Masa. It's supported the expansion of so many beautiful things. And I think of abundance not just as money, but as connections too. The connections that we make all over the planet right now in this chat box, and the opportunities. Now, I know some of us are concerned because 2020 is a big shakeup here. Some of us have lost jobs, changed jobs, lost, sadly, lives, homes, situations. But the opportunities that I'm also seeing arise, that I'm seeing hoop teachers and hoopers present online at the moment and then slowly back out into real life, are continually expanding. Amazing. Yes, Alicia says it saved my mortgage. And again, as my side hustle. It can be supportive in many ways. All right, so let's get into it. So here are my top tips. Now, I've said many times I've been teaching for a very long time. I have done all the wrong things, all the right things, learned all the things. So it was really hard for me to select. I've just chosen 10 tips that I have felt I wish that I had have known when I started. And I have had great support and been inspired. I've been magically able to go to many different workshops and learn and create with so many different humans. So this is not just all my learning. I've soaked this up from my students, my teachers, and everyone. But here are my 10 tips. I am going to turn my face off and we're going to get into it. Tips to make every hoop class kick ass, or if you're in the state, or if you're not an Australian or not British speaker, it might be kick ass. However you want to say it, kick butt. Okay, my tip number 1 is to seal your lesson plan into your cells. Now, we know how to do this as hoopers because when we move, we create this muscle memory. We create these neurological pathways in our system. So what I'm saying is one of my biggest tips was to physically practice what I'm going to teach. My preparation is everything, because when I prepare like this, so when I write out a lesson plan, and I then play with it in my body. It's there. So I don't have to turn up to a class fumbling with bits of paper and constantly referring to my notes, although I do refer. I always have a very succinct written lesson plan right there next to my music player. But my greatest tip is to practice in your body, in front of a mirror, in front of a camera, if you can, and seal your lesson plans into yourself so that you are hyper prepared and you're there. You're ready to connect with your students rather than forgetting, referring. Have it there. Preparation will give you so much confidence. And I know that this might go without saying, but sometimes we forget, or we feel too rushed, or we think it doesn't matter. But I have seen some, can I say, epic fails from teachers who are incredibly talented and they just forgot to seal their lesson plan into their cells. It was all up in their head and not down in their body. Now, I always say this is one of my biggest mottos. That is, confidence is simply courage on repeat. Because a lot of us are shape. I still get nervous. I still get nervous all the time. But my confidence, many people, I actually hear from a lot of teachers and they say to me, well, it's fine for you because you're really confident. It's fine for you because you're an extrovert. That is not the truth at all. That's not the truth. I see myself as an extroverted introvert, very introverted. But I don't let that stop me. I don't let that hold me back, because what I do with these little steps of courage, I show up a little bit and then that gives me a little bit more confidence. So just the little steps. I tried out that first class. I was terrified, but it gave, by having the courage just to try that gave me a little bit more confidence to do the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. I hold back all the time. I lack confidence all the time. But the one thing, this motto that I hold on to, is if I just dip my toes in with a little bit of courage and I just keep repeating that, I'll find my confidence. And I fully encourage you to do the same. Little steps, baby steps, if you will. Tip number 2. Oh, this one is the never-ending exploration for self-awareness. Understand your special sauce. Now, what do I mean by your special sauce? We live in the age where we are constantly seeing everyone else, and our human brains are wired to compare. And when we compare ourselves to someone else, a little part of us, or a big part of us, forgets who we are. And so in the Hoop Love Coach training, if you've done that with me, or if you're thinking about doing that with me, then our first module, before we even pick up that hoop, our first module, the module that we always go back to, is to understand your special sauce. And that is to get to know who you are and how you, not anyone else, we can be inspired by others, but how you want to show up. And yes, teaching, it's definitely a co-creation. It's a two-way street. It's not all about you, but your courage, trust me on this one, your courage will come from grounding into how you want to show up. So if you've got your journal there, this is a very, very quick, just a few little questions that you might like to dive into. And we go into, I hope that it comes across that I am always encouraging you, whether you're a hooper, whether you're a hoop teacher, no matter what it is, to really embrace your own natural style. Be inspired, collect, absorb, but your own natural style. And here are just some things to think about. You can go back to the recording of this. You can write these down right now. What is it that you truly value? What's really important to you? Because when you're strong in that, you will share from that place with your students. And it doesn't have to be the same value as me or another hoop teacher or the famous fitness coach or whoever it is. It doesn't even have to be the people that inspire you. You don't have to have the same values. This is about you. What is it? What is the expertise? What is that special something that you have to share? Now, some of you might jump to, oh, I don't know. I don't know is actually a really beautiful place. I don't know is more powerful than I have nothing. Can you see how that's an expansive place, an open vessel? What is your expertise? What is it that you have to share? Now, some of us, and I am definitely one of them, I am on a lifelong path of learning and absorbing. So we all have expertise, but I love, love. I might even be an addict. I love online courses. I love teacher trainings. I do as much as I can. I'm doing a teacher training right now on embodiment. It requires me to wake up at 5 a.m. in the mornings. I am not very good at that. But I am so expanded by learning and adding to my expertise. And we don't have to do that in formal trainings. We can do that by sharing stories, by connecting with people in our own community, in our family. What are you inspired by? What is it? Is it music? Is it movement? Is it fierce, courageous humans? Is it nature? What are 3 words that describe you? This is always a tricky one for a lot of people. In the beginning of the training, I always ask people to ask their friends or to put it out on social media, 3 words that describe them, because often it's hard for us to see ourselves, and we'll never truly see ourselves the way others do. But this is self-awareness. And what are you truly passionate about? Declare it. Have the courage to declare it. I am truly passionate about. Write it down, speak it to yourself, share it with your people. And the last one, again, this is just a little insight, a little exercise into personal awareness, self-awareness. What is my personal style? It's 2020. It is time to step into who we truly are. Now, as humans, we are drawn to groups and to affiliate with like-minded souls, but there's always space for us to be who we truly are. And if there's one word, if there's one huge space that people are truly valuing right now, it's being authentic, who you truly are. Yes, Megan says that it was her favorite activity. It was really eye-opening how people saw me. Yes, often we forget we're in our own space all of the time. Okay, let's keep moving on. You can come back to those questions, or even more if you want to dive into more self-awareness exercises. You can email me or share with me. Reach out at any time. Or join the training if it's for you, Tip 3, here is your biggest superpower as a teacher. Now, some of us think that we have to have all these other things, but when you step into the role of teacher, whether that's someone in your backyard or whether you're on a stage at a huge festival, observation, keeping your eyes and your heart open, watching your students, connecting with how they are moving. When you are giving instruction, how are they responding? Observation, watching them, is going to help you to help them. Meaning that if I share some instruction with a student and then I'm so closed down, I'm like, this is how you do it. Here, I'll break it down. Good, great, try it out. If I'm not prepared to watch them, to observe how they're responding, then I can't give them feedback. I can't shift and alter my teaching. So when I observe, and I know in a big class it's hard, but you get really good at this. This will be your superpower. And never, ever be afraid to ask your students questions. Like, how does that feel for you? What's happening? What's holding you back? Big one. Heart and eyes open. Okay, here's a gentle reminder for us all. Oh my goodness. I hear this so many times from hoop teachers who say, I'm not good enough. I don't know. I don't know enough tricks. I don't know enough sequences. I don't know. You don't need to know everything. In fact, there is no possible way in this ever expanding world that you can know everything. And this is just a gentle reminder for you. If someone comes to you and they want to know some wild trick that you don't know, or you're sharing with them and it's just not clicking for them, and as a hoop teacher or a support, celebrate what is happening. Focus on what is happening. If it feels like it's okay for you, you might recommend other people to watch online, or someone who, let's say they ask for like some really expanded, wild, techie twin work, and that's just not your, it's just not your focus at the moment. If it feels okay for you, you might recommend someone else who could support them. You might decide, and this has been huge for me, I say this all of the time, when I started teaching, my personal practice expanded. When I started teaching, my own hooping grew so quickly. Why? Because I was committed to practicing for my students. I didn't know how to leg hoop properly. I didn't know how to do all of this twin work. When I first started teaching, I had a couple of tricks in my bag. That was it. But I knew that I had to share this. Now, if I had have waited until I thought I knew everything and every trick, I would never, ever have had this incredible lifestyle that I've had, because I'd be waiting to know everything, and I still don't know it. I know nothing. One thing that you can do, and this kind of goes back to observation, is you can ask them to demonstrate what they've got going on. So they ask you to do a trick or a style that you don't quite have yet, or you're not fully invested or focused on. You can ask them to demonstrate, and you use your superpower of observation and give them tips on their timing, their alignment, their spatial awareness. And this is a powerful teaching tool. You don't have to know how to execute every single move yourself, but if you hone in on your superpower as a teacher, which is observation, you can ask them to show you, and then you give them feedback based on your observation. Doesn't have to be based on you doing a show for them and perfectly executing. You will notice if their timing is a little slow and their hoop is not connecting at the spot, or perhaps their posture is not supporting the move, or maybe if they're doing some off-body stuff, their spatial awareness, they're not reaching far enough. So using your superpower of observation, even if you don't know the move. There you go, big tip. You can support anyone through anything. Tip number 5, everyone is on a different part of the path. All you and I are, all of us. So every single class is going to be a multi-level class. I can say beginners only, and one person's view on being a beginner is very different to another person's view on being a beginner. Now, don't let that freak you out ever. Here are some tips. Go into every class with just a couple of variations in your back pocket, even if all you intend to do is teach someone how to waist hoop. Have some variations. Maybe you want to teach, you'll have some variations like waist breaks or footwork. Always, you can ask if, or invite them to bring in their own style and to celebrate whatever part of the path they are on. Tip number 6. All right, this is a big one. I need to remind myself, because this is easy to forget. As a teacher, there are times when you need to shut up and play. There you go. I said it. because We think we have to fill there's a lot of us as teachers, I've got so much to teach you and we're going to keep going. And then I want you to learn this and this and this and this. Students can get so overloaded, particularly beginners. And you might have experienced this yourself as a student, where it's just so much, like literally just give me like 2 tricks. I just need some time. So plan for this in every class. Plan a song or 2, either halfway or at the end before your cool down, where you just shut up or I should, that I'm fooling around when I say you just need to shut up. I mean, don't go and just sit in the corner and lay down and check your phone. We're still always engaged. But we give the students time to explore. This might be a time, if you pick just one song and you're like, right, this is playtime, then this might be a time for you to go around and do some one-on-one work and just things that you have observed during the class. Instead of you being up the front or sharing like to the whole group, this could be some times when you go around and give some little tips or pointers. Playtime is a time in every class, or even if it's a one-on-one, if you're just teaching one person, I know it can be hard to just like be like, all right, you just do your own thing. Sometimes it can feel awkward, especially in a one-on-one. But this integration time, this play time, is a time for them to find their own way. Because when you give them that time, they can come back to you and say, hey, this wasn't working, or this felt great. And then that expands the teaching journey and experience. Yes, I know a lot of us forget. I'm just quickly reading some of the comments. Some of us, we forget to play, especially we're like, I've got to teach so many things and there's so much going on and I need it to be play. This is another huge thing. And on my journey as a teacher, one of the greatest threads that I've been trying to and always coming back to is intimacy. And intimacy for me is when I'm able to deeply connect rather than just being so obsessed with all of my planning and all of my teaching and all of the structure, that I make eye contact, that I naturally smile and share, that I give praise or feedback to every single person in my class, that I celebrate the special things, that I remember people's names. Now, that's a tricky one. When I used to teach class every single night, so I would teach 6 days a week when I was living in Melbourne, and I would have a full class it was always sold out every term, and we would do 8-week blocks. Oh, there were so many names and I found it so challenging, and I would get a bit stressed out if I didn't remember someone's name. So here is a little tip, and this, you might not be teaching regular classes. And when you're online, it's also challenging if you're doing Zoom classes or people don't have their names correct and you're like, oh no, what if I forget your name? One of the things that I would do in my regular classes was people would sign up through my website, and then I would make a little class card for everyone, and I would print out everyone who was coming to my class. So I would see their name written. I would say their name when they introduced themselves. If they didn't introduce themselves, I would go and ask their name, and then I would have a card that I would give to them that they would stamp or come and stamp each time they came to class. And that honestly just helped me to reinforce my memory, because it's so easy to forget names. We've got so much going on. And people are so beautiful and forgiving, but it's a thing. It's connection, asking questions. And I know it can be really challenging. Actually, I got an email from an incredible Hoop Love coach yesterday, who said she started teaching, but it's been quite draining for her. And she feels as an introvert that it's really challenging. And I can completely relate to this, because not only are we going in to share hoop tricks, but this huge other layer on top is that we are socializing, we are connecting, we are giving energy. And so with this connection, I'm often speaking about connecting with your students, but connecting with yourself. How is it that you celebrate yourself before and after class? How is it that you give yourself praise or feedback? How is it that you give yourself a smile and nurture? These are all really, really powerful things as a teacher, especially if you're teaching quite a lot. Finding ways to reconnect with yourself is essential. Okay, this bit's a little bit more about creating the class. And I've done some other workshops in the past where I'm like, how to create this perfect being, one of those words. It's never perfect, is it? Everything, sometimes everything that can go wrong will go wrong, trust me. And it's okay. It's about how we kind of adapt to that stuff. But in the past, I've done some workshops on how to create a structure that is going to be the anchor for your classes. So a lesson plan, essentially, that you then practice and play with. But one of the things that I would say is it's about creating a journey. So if you've ever been to a class where it's like full hardcore the whole time at this really high intensity level, you leave feeling like, whoa, that was a lot. And if you're a teacher who's teaching at this full hardcore right from the beginning, go, 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 and then stop, that's a lot of energy that you're giving. So when you're creating your plan, create that ebb and flow, the highs and the lows. So it's like when we're creating a plan, we're thinking, okay, I'm in my warm-up, I'm setting the scene. In the tricks that I'm going to be sharing, some are going to take a lot of brain power. Others are going to be quite exhaustive with the body. How am I going to balance that out? And when we create this journey, or we create this plan for every workshop, every class, every sharing experience, it's like we're riding the waves of energy. I'm going to go back to observation. When we observe, or when we can feel the energy or observe the energy, we can see when people are quite tired and low. And if you're feeling it, if they're feeling it, switch it up. Have a plan that allows you flexibility. I think someone said before, I've missed a few of your questions or your comments, but I saw someone who is working on not being a perfectionist all the time. Now, being a perfectionist or striving for perfection, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? So, but sticking to your plan, having a plan in your cells also means that you plan for flexibility. If the energy is low in a class, then you might do a chill out activity, or you might raise the energy by practicing some flow, some throws, or some jump throughs, or something that kind of picks up the energy, or throw in a fun game that you just do spontaneously because you've prepared those variations. Okay. Oh, here we go. If this is not a Deanne Love tip, break it down. Break it down. Now, I have to credit this on my decade of teaching kids. It really did help me to understand how breaking down, if you've learned with me, either on YouTube or any of my courses or in real life, breaking it down has been a huge underpinning of my whole teaching style. I want it to be fun. And this is my special sauce, I believe. So that's why it's really important to understand how you want to teach. But I would say my tip number 9, no matter how much what your style is, when you are able to break something down through understanding how you learned it, perhaps go back to how did you learn? How did you learn to waist hoop? What were the pitfalls? What were the ways that helped you connect? What helped you on your journey? If you can start to understand that in your body and then relay it to other hoopers who are going to move in completely different ways to you, then you can start to observe them and respond to them and give them direct feedback and break it down step by step. So if you've learned with me, you'll know that my special sauce or my style is to break it down and flow it through. So it's like bite-sized chunks, and then let's get it into a groove. So we understand it, then we feel it. So if you're ever stuck on like, I want to teach this trick, but I don't really understand it. If you feel like you're on your own, you haven't done training with me, or you haven't been working on this and it feels too challenging, I recommend that you video yourself. Watch how you do it. Watch your hand placement, your body posture, your pace. Think about all of the mistakes that you made and how you self-corrected. That's really going to help you to break it down. Now, understanding that students, that learners, that us, we are visual learners. We need to hear it verbally. We need to see it physically or feel it physically. And also stories or tips or humor or whatever it is that is your style is going to help. So oftentimes, if I just stood at the front of the class without any visual cues, without breaking it down physically or showing you, then maybe like a small percentage of hoopers are going to understand how to do it. If I say, pick up your hoop, hold it in front of you and start to spin it, that is breaking it down, but that's not going to make much sense to a lot of people. So when I physically show it from different angles, one of the big barriers of teaching online, and this is the hugest challenge that I have, the thing that I miss, and I know that my students miss, is that I can't physically be there. Sometimes we need to cement muscle memory by physically moving the hoop. And that's not always a thing. Yes, starting your class with a quote, a theme. Okay, I'm seeing your beautiful questions and your tips and your ideas come up, so I'm going to rush through this. This is the last one. Oh, it was so hard to pick this. Soundtrack. Look, it goes without saying that music moves us. And I know some teachers are like, but I don't know, like, I'm really into techno, but my students are really into variety. Variety is the best way to cater for everyone's musical needs. But music moves us. And I have always used music as my teaching guide. And what I mean is when I am planning out a class, I'm writing it down, I'm moving it through, my music is also there as a way to cue me. So I know what my warm-up track is. I know that I have 3 songs that are going to be for learning tricks. I know that the next song is a playtime track. So when I hear the music change, it helps me. It's guiding me. It's moving me and my students along. However, some teachers do love just to have background music playing and they turn it up and down as they choose. But for me, I use my music as my playlist as a guide. And so that's the bonus that I want to share with you. I am going to email you all of my playlists. This is a lot. If you know me, I'm going to put my face back on. Okay. Over the years, maybe for like, I want to say 20 years, have been collecting music. And I know some of you are already tapped into my playlist, but I'm going to send you, this is like over 100 playlists. Now, I know it's a lot, but some of them are crafted specifically for hoop classes. And I'm going to email this to you. And I'll highlight some of the ones that have been really that show a class plan. So I'll send that through to you into your inbox after this, a little bit after this. So yes, Lauren says music absolutely guides the mood. I'm known for playing disco, and that's what people expect in my classes, even if that's not their usual style. Do you know what? As a teacher, as someone, this is incredible, Lauren, because we are there also to inspire newness. How many times have you turned up to, well, I go to ecstatic dance classes, and it's actually been really hard doing them online because I find myself not as much in the dance and I'm reaching for my phone to Shazam. I know it's bad. Don't tell anyone. But because I'm so inspired, I need to know what that track is. I need to know. So yes, disco. A lot of your students might never listen to disco. They might not think that they even know it or that it even is a genre that allows them to move. So yes, if you're live streaming on FaceTime, you can play music on Facebook. Oh, there's the technology. There's so much. I could do like a 6-week workshop on tech, not hoop tech. Okay, Here's a big thing. So a lot of us over my 10 tips, my top 10 tips, there's probably 100 more. I've been like, oh, I don't know, little things come up. And remember I said that confidence is simply courage on repeat, knowing that we're enough, that our disco's enough, that the playlist that we have, we can doubt anything. We can doubt, I don't know enough tricks, or I don't know this. As you are right now, stepping in courageously are enough, and you're always supported. Look at this chat box. There are humans here ready to support you. So all music licenses. Yes, I can see people in the chat box going into the music license stuff. So I am about to open up to some questions. I know you might have questions about Hoop Love Coach training, or you might have questions about other things to do with teaching, or any of the tips that I've just given. Feel free. Hopefully I'll catch them all, because I know that you're all very beautiful and chatty, and hopefully I'll catch them all. One thing also I wanted to say was that if you are joining me for the Hoop Love Coach training this October, we start October 5th. It's the last training for 2020. How are we even like moving into October? I do not know. If you're signing up with me for this training, it's 12 weeks online together forever, by the way. There's no expiry date. You have access to all of the materials for as long as the internet exists. Who knows how long that's going to be. You will also receive Expand Your Online Circle. And this is a completely separate course that I've created that you can tap into if you are wanting to share, expand, promote online on social media in particular. Many of you have probably met me via social media. And it has also been, alongside my hooping, it has also been a very big thread of creativity for me, getting creative with what I share on social media so it's not such a drag or a time consumer. So I'm going to share that course with you as well. I'm reading your beautiful comments. Okay, so if you are, very quickly, you can start to ask questions if you want now. We're getting to question time. If you have any questions, I'll start to answer them. But if you are interested in the Hoop Love Coach training, yes, it's an online training. I'm just answering some questions that I get in my inbox. Community support, it's already happening here, but we do have Hoop Love Coach, a global group, and then your own training group. It's available 24/7. So there's no like expiry time or date. You learn from experts. I've been doing it a long time. I've learned all the ups and downs, and I love sharing with you. There is a certificate of completion when you get to the end, but you get to learn at your own pace. If you're feeling like 2020 is a bit of a blowout and you don't think that you'll get it done in the 12 weeks, there's also space for you. There's no cutoff date. Some questions. Yes, questions are coming in. Please share them at any time. About the Hoop Love Coach training, though, it is 397 Australian dollars. The Australian dollar is always weak to the US, so it's usually a pretty good deal for those overseas. And if the payment, if you want it to be chopped up, we can do that too. We've introduced that. Margaret says the best course ever. Thank you. Sincerely, thank you. We start together October 5, and I'm also adding that extra bonus course. All right, questions. Let me see. Do you have people take the course that don't plan to teach anytime soon? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, here is what I've noticed that a lot of movers or hoopers or amazing humans do. So I'm not sure if you've looked at the course content yet, but module 2 is 100 videos on how to do the 100 foundational tricks of hooping. Now, a lot of hoopers do the course with me for that. A lot of hoopers also, because it supports your hooping and your expansion and your practice. A lot of people I've noticed have also done the training with me because of that first module that I spoke about. And it's more about understanding where they're at, their self-awareness, how they want to build their own business or their creative practices. some people, I got a really beautiful email from a lady yesterday who actually in my Facebook, she might be on here. And I said, I love heart back and said, I'll reply soon because I knew I had to do this. And she said teaching didn't work out for her, but hoop making did. And it's something that she didn't realize because in module, I believe it's 7, we go into how to make hoops. And I've teamed up with Hoopology too. And there's like some Hoop Lovers Hoopology packages that some hoopers have benefited from. She became a hoop maker. She didn't quite realize when she first started the course. So yes, that is, thank you, Wild Spinners. Love the course. Yeah, you don't have to teach at all. I totally recommend this course. I fell off because life happened, but I'm picking it back up in October. Hey, Lorette, you know what? I was thinking about you. I was like, I'm not going to blame everything on 2020, but 2020. I was thinking about, I'm going to email you after this. I'm so happy to hear from you. I finally have weekly classes. Alicia, I'm reading yours out. I finally have weekly classes where are great places to hang hooping flyers or places to market. I want to keep the momentum going. Okay, so where are places? Well, every city is a little bit different. I live now on the Gold Coast and I used to be in Melbourne. And Melbourne, not right now, sadly, but soon, again, hopefully. You know what? There were cafes, there were happenings, there were parties everywhere. And so flyers were a really huge thing in that town. But when I moved to the Gold Coast, not so much. Everything is very neat and pristine and no one, there's cafes with a few flyers, but you would never see them like posted up and that kind of thing. So if flyers are a part of your community culture and if they are viewed, then you want to think about who. I know we want to invite everyone to our classes, but thinking about who you might want to invite first and foremost to your classes. So, or are likely in your community to start to come to your classes. Is that mums? Where do they hang out? Are they at cafes or are they at the PCYC or are they at the local park? So starting to think about who you want to invite and where they hang out. And that might give you some clues. And then if where they hang out is not a big flyer place, you might start to get creative about what is on offer. What are there other businesses promoting and what ways do they promote? And you can you become a bit of a detective about what your community's culture is and get creative with that. I hope that helps. Michelle said this course was life-changing in so many ways for me. Hopefully next year I can launch my course. Yes. This is the thing. There's no time limit. Look, I'm like feeling, I'm 13 years into hooping. I'm 10 full-time years into hoop teaching. And there's no way 10 or 13 years ago I could have imagined that I'd even be sharing this. This platform didn't even exist. Things are constantly changing and expanding, shifting your life, who's coming in and out of your life. Even for many of us, our health, our well-being, the stuff external to us and our expertise, our inspiration. There is if you're putting pressure on yourself that you have to be a certain way or have completed a certain thing by a certain time, then release, go and hoop, go and have some time to yourself because we don't need to put that pressure on ourselves. It comes in time with our courage, stepping up little by little. Sometimes it's a lot. This winter, I feel like I got on the story of telling myself, I've done nothing, I haven't created anything, and I found myself getting really down. And then as spring starts to spring, little things start to come out, and I remind myself that it's little steps. And sometimes we're powerful and empowered and inspired, and sometimes we need to rest. We need to slow down. We need to reach out and ask for help in different ways. And that's all part of being a human. That's all part of being vulnerable. Okay, off tangent there, a little bit of I'm just getting on my leg. We can do this. Yes, Michelle, beautiful. Thanks, Wild Spinners. Yeah, Lorette, I feel that too. I created this as a teacher training, but what I've realized over the years is that it's not just here are hoop tricks. This is how to teach them. There's so many more elements to it for you. Beautiful wild spinners, usually your local supermarkets and storefronts, even post offices are a great way for hanging flyers. Thank you. Yes. Local radio station have advertised. Yes. I love this when we become a detective of our community's culture. Things that we didn't even think, we don't even see start to pop up and pop out. Thank you for that. Epic. Is there an ongoing fee to maintain your hoop love? No. Okay, we live in a culture where, and I'm not shaming this or saying, but that's not my special sauce. We live in a culture where we want to be affiliated with certain bodies. Supreme, amazing, yes, in many ways, but also that requires us to give funds to certain bodies. Not so accessible for everybody. My mission was to make this accessible, to make this ongoing, but not by you needing to keep giving funds to me. So no, one-time payment only. Joanne, I did the course 4 years ago and I still go back to the videos. Perfect. That's what it's there for. Yes. So if you'll hear from other Hoop Love coaches, it doesn't shut down unless for some reason you lose your password. You get a new password. Unless for some reason you change your email, you'll have to, I can change your email. Like that access, that one-time payment is yours for life or until the internet closes down. Shelley, one-time costs, lifetime access. It's a steal for the price. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I should just, I wish that we could all talk together. Can someone learn from scratch in this course and end up teaching? Yes, absolutely. So module 2 is basically learning from scratch. If you have a hoop, you can go step by step, and I know there's 100 tricks in that. And then in module 3, we take those tricks and I give you ways to teach or learn for your personal practice. Flow sessions, which are when we put tricks together either in a fitness style or in a dance style. And so you have all that you'll come back to. Like if you're teaching a class or you're given a job, say to teach at a yoga studio or whatever might happen, and you're like, oh my goodness, what am I going to teach? You can always come back and you don't have to teach it exactly. This is another thing. It's your special sauce. You don't have to teach it exactly, but you can steal it. You can be like, I'm just going to use it this way. That's it. I want to show up and connect with my students. I don't have time to make up a flow session. Use mine. That's what it's there for. Anything that I share online, it's for you. I want you to keep sharing. I know how abundant it has been for me and for other hoop teachers. Please share it. Wild Spinners says, we have our first hoop jam nearly organized, just getting flyers made up. We're nervously excited. I'm nervously excited for you too. I just got this rush. It's this container of excitement and of nerves and of expansion. You don't even know what's going to happen yet. When I first started, so a little trip back down. So I first started hooping in Tokyo, the busiest city on the planet. I didn't have anyone to hoop with. I was connecting with some people online. I was seeing that across the oceans in this incredible mecca at the time, which was the US, hoopers were getting together and they were like sharing tricks and doing these things called hoop jams. And I was like, well, I want to do that too, but I don't know anyone except for Paul Musser, who I would drag to the park. I don't know anyone. It's me. That's it. I felt, and this was not the truth, but I didn't know that at the time. In the whole of Tokyo, I was the only one. So I went to the park with the hoop and I think a stereo at the beginning, and I would just show up and I would just be there. And I didn't know what I was just this. I was just hoping, inviting. And what started as me and probably Musser and like 1 or 2 hoops turned into this over time. I have people that I met in those hoop jams that I am still the most incredible friend. We've all dispersed over the planet now. I would never have met those people if I didn't have the courage to show up. So I'm cheering you on. Particularly now, I feel like people are really wanting to reconnect with community, with themselves, with nature, with joy. I'm so stoked for you. It takes courage. It does. It really does. It comes through in the play, Kelly says. Yes, let's just hoop instead of stressing out. Can I get that? Like, can I get that everywhere? It's not that easy. I also want to share. So this year, every year, but this year has been quite challenging, and challenges come into our life, sometimes so traumatic that we feel that we may not ever be able to move through them. Sometimes so difficult that I can't even pick up my hoop. As someone who is so passionately, deeply connected to hooping and sharing and giving, but when I come out of that stress fog or those trauma patterns, and I can get that hoop and I can put it on my body and I can give myself the gift of one song, whatever it is. There has never been a time when I have not been able to lift myself through and out because of this movement practice. Yes, let's all go hoop instead of stressing out. Couldn't remember that. Me too. All of us. So if you're one of those people who are like, I'm stressing so much, I forget to hoop, I forget to practice. Don't worry, we're all human. I'm definitely revisiting my training starting October. I know there is so much more to learn. I was having a bad day, and this has truly inspired me to fall back in love with hooping and teaching. Yes, it's always there for us. Yes, we can. Also, isn't this Saturday World Hoop Day? It is World Hoop Day. And for those of you who don't know what World Hoop Day is, look it up. Do you ever find yourself doing tricks out of habit that you aren't covering in class, and how much should that be avoided? Do you ever find yourself doing tricks out of habit? Yes. We create patterns in our mind and in our body. And some of those are habitual. And I often share ways, trick restriction or learning new stuff, so that we can find non-habitual patterns, new, fresh, new stuff. I don't think anything should be avoided. Whoa, that's a big, I don't think anything should be avoided. What I think is that we recognize and we are aware this is something that I do on repeat. I would like to try something new, or I'd like to teach something new. And so it's just awareness. I want to change it up, or I feel this is really important to teach. It might be a pattern that I do all the time, but hoopers need to know this because it's foundational, and recognizing the difference. When I share what I know, I learn so much. When I share what I know, I learn so much. The motto of life. Will there be another opportunity for the training in 2021? I always say yes, with a undertone of wait and see. But since I launched the Hoop Love Coach training, we have been doing it either 2 or 3 times a year. Those dates have not been confirmed. It will likely be in March, but things are ever changing. I moved to a new community in July and left my dance studio of a decade and my career of 15 years to follow my love. I took the course in July, and I've now created Adventure Hoopers, and will be teaching my first workshop in a couple of weeks and start teaching weekly classes in the spring. I'm so excited to spread the hoop love. That is a big, huge step, Kristen. When I left Melbourne, which was I started in Tokyo, had to leave Tokyo because of tsunami, earthquake, natural disaster, landed in Melbourne, created this community, sold out classes, huge community of hoopers. When I left there for lifestyle and love, I was heartbroken, soul destroying, even though it was a choice, even though we're moving to. So when I read stories like this, I am so with you. Can I say I'm so proud of you? It takes courage, but there's this passion, there's this welling of incredible beauty. After 10 years of hooping, I feel like I want to start completely fresh. Like I have absolutely no previous knowledge so that I find that obsession again. I've definitely been through that too. Sometimes I take a break. Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I just give me a minute. But I don't take a break from moving. So what happens for me personally, and you might be able to speak to this, Kirsten, but what happens for me is then I go to other styles of movement. In the past, that would have been linear yoga. I was very much absorbed in that style of movement. My body loved it, craved it, enjoyed it. Now I'm more non-linear, ecstatic dance, 5 rhythms, where I am at trick restriction. If one is neither better or worse than the other, it's just how, when we get really fine-tuned with what our body wants and loves and craves and desires, then I feel we can start fresh. And I come back to the hoop with freshness. I know you've mentioned many amazing tips, thank you, but what would you do to prepare and plan for your very first hoop class that you plan to teach? Okay, I have done another workshop on this, like the things that you should do to prepare for that first hoop class. Let's say you've got people showing up, you've already marketed it. If we want to talk about the structure, I'll just talk for this one about the structure of a hoop class. I always have a warm-up that can either be some kind of movement. It could be waist hooping. If they don't know anything, I wouldn't start with waist hooping. I'd start with maybe a game. Then we move on to trick focus and a trick. So if they're very new, that might be it might be waist hooping, it might be 1 or 2, no overcrowding of like not throwing in 100 tricks in the first class. I would then do some kind of flow or some kind of piecing things together, whether that's something very simple like spinning on the waist, raising to the sky, doing a pose, doesn't matter how basic it is. So then we move into flow. Then we have playtime where they integrate, and then we have a cool down. I would also plan my anchors, and the anchors are so that plan and my playlist, have the playlist to help to guide you. So know your music, and then prepare yourself. Remember to breathe, give yourself some time to just focus and prepare before and after your class. They're my quick top tips. I hope that helps. You can get in contact with me if you would like. Thank you for making the pricing simple. Thank you for all that, so much for doing this. I was insanely busy when I took your course and missed the Q&A day with you. I'm so grateful for this time. You changed my life from day one in a hoop. Thank you for creating massive amounts of value. Thank you for being a beautiful mirror and showing up. I am seeing that there are 44 more questions. If I miss you, I am deeply sorry, but I'm going to try to do a few more, and then I'm going to send you out this recording when it records. I love that you share, and encourage us. You're the best. Thank you, Michelle. So part of the sharing is that I get feedback. You ask me questions, and that sparks my inspiration. If I sit, and it's very easy for me to do this, remember, introvert, it would be very easy for me to just like sit, but I courageously show up and share something, and that means that you share back with me, and so we have this co-creation. And this is what I really want to encourage you to be doing with your community and your students. Doesn't matter if it's 1 person or 100. This is how we develop. This is how we relate. What music source do you use? Have you found a particular service to be better than the others? Okay, I am a Spotify addict. That doesn't mean that it's better than the others. It's just where I started to create a library. Now, here are 2. I think I've maybe written a blog about or done a video on YouTube, so many things about how I source all of this music. But I have Shazam on this phone, and I could be in the supermarket, I could be in anywhere, and music is everywhere. Sometimes I get it from friends. Sometimes people know that I'm always looking for music, so they'll send me things. And then Spotify, and I believe other music players too, or other music platforms. So if you're using one that suits you, that's what you need to go with. But what happens when I start to compile a playlist on Spotify, at the bottom, it says, hey, guess what? Here are some songs that we recommend. Sometimes they suck and I don't like them at all, but sometimes they save me a whole bunch of time. So that's the source that I generally use, Sandy. Yes, World Hoop Day is this Saturday, October the 3rd, and I've been trying to teach the world the dance. Each year, I try to expand and get better, and the best part is teaching in community. This year is definitely more challenging. Yeah, really. I'm just huge high fives and hugs to all of the teachers who are bringing, I know there's incredible humans like yourself who are bringing together community despite, no matter what. Thank you for helping us all to grow and to develop. We're all doing our stuff. We're all doing our thing. And for anyone who's feeling like there's no space for you, there is so much space. If you see, this can be another human trait of comparison where we're like, oh, it's already been done. Everything's already been done. I don't know. Deep sea exploration, maybe not done. The most extreme things, we're like, maybe not done. Everything else, that does not mean that we can't do it. There is space for us all. In fact, the more that we share, I sometimes get into this thing where I think like, everyone on the planet knows how to hula hoop. No, everyone might know what a hula hoop is, but my whole hooping life, the most common thing is, what? You do what? With a hula hoop? There's so much confusion. Let's lessen that confusion. Let's heighten the joy. Our goal is to start a hoop retreat in this beautiful part of Australia along the Murray River. Does that mean you're inviting me? Am I allowed to go there? Are the border restrictions over? Come on, hurry up. Everyone stay well and safe, but also let hoopers travel safely. Not going into any of that discussion. Okay, Murray River, see you there. Love tonight, thank you. Off to the oh gosh, yes, there's big stuff happening in the US. Take good care of yourselves. I just moved and have had to create a whole new community from total scratch into a remote mountain community. It's empowering and exhausting and liberating and big. Same as Kirsten, starting fresh. See, this has brought up a lot for a lot of people. We've had to move, we've had to shift, or we're finding the courage to do it. I'm definitely doing your course. I met you at the Hoop Convention in Melbourne this year, and I really connect with how you teach and who you are. I also teach circus and aerials, and I'm sure the course will be super beneficial for classes as well. Thank you. I'll see you in there, Nicola. I love that you encourage us not to give up. It's the best tip ever. There's times, sometimes daily, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm more resilient these days. I used to be way more gung-ho, like, and now I'm just like, take it easy. And that's part of our special sauce too, the different chapters in our lives. Okay, there's heaps more messages. I feel like some people are jumping out. Don't worry, I'll send you the recording. I'm reading your messages. Thank you. I'm invited. Okay, I'm there. Hopefully, I'm allowed. Deanne, your course is amazing. This webinar has also been very helpful. I appreciate you showing up and encouraging us. Thank you. Lots of love. Okay, during the official 12 weeks of the Hoop Love Coach training, are there more live chats like this one? After the 12 weeks, can we still get the completion certificate? Thank you so much for sharing. Yes. It depends. So what happens is stuff comes up in the group, and then from that, sometimes we have more live chats. As after the 12 weeks, you go into a group that's a Global Hoop Love Coach group. I'm about to send out to the Global Hoop Love Coach group this week to say, hey, let's have a hangout. So it's ongoing. And then if you don't finish it at the 12 weeks, yes, you can complete it after that and get your certificate of completion. Laura, there are 1 to 3 chats during the course. It's really dependent on the group as well. And also like how I kind of watch how people are going. Sometimes people are like, well, it's just too much. Can we do it later? And that's totally fine. There's always opportunities. I think after a few years, we collect friends who are also hoopers and performers and forget there are people who don't know what we do. I know. My life was in such a hoop bubble, and now that has changed quite a lot. Like, oh, okay. And that brings newness too. I highly recommend the little circles. Okay, thank you for bringing that up, because a lot of people have asked me. Haley Hoopla and I created a little circles course that is a toolbox for teaching children, and that is coming back in November, because 2020. Thank you, little circles. Yes. See you at the hangout. Deanne, you're a queen. Hey, Camilla, welcome from Rio. This has been so rich. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like everyone's saying thank you. Thank you. Oh, I thought it was going to be 11:11, 11:15. We are amazing. It has been a total joy. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to be in your inbox with all of my playlists, so watch out. And oh, I'm missing your smile too. Off to bed, 2 a.m. Take some notes, write some things down. What do you take away from this? Share it with yourself and with others. Huge hoop love and massive, massive thank yous. And I'll see you soon. You know I will. Somewhere. We're going to hang out. Big love. Bye. Mwah.